Welcome back to Tax Talk with Hey Hey, where we offer simplified tax planning and mentorship to help 6 and 7-figure CEOs ditch the daily hustle by achieving financial independence from your business by increasing your purchasing power and diversifying your source of passive income. Through financial mentorship, realistic goal setting, and simplified tax planning, without having to hustle for the rest of your life, with the guarantee of the optimal roadmap to move you towards your desired time freedom.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Tax Talk with Hey Hey. I am your host, Suhey Piedra, enrolled agent here in Glendora, California. I am federally licensed, so work with clients across the U.S. But today I have the privilege of having somebody that I just recently met, so we're going to get to know him together. His name is Armando Olmeda.
Perfect.
I said Perfect. It right. The Mexican came out of me. I'm just kidding.
You gotta roll your R.
Yes. But anyways, but before we get started with, the business talk that I love to have, tell us a little bit personal about you. Like, tell the audience who you really are as an individual.
Yeah, great question. Usually I get that question on like a first date.
Okay, let's pretend. I'm just kidding.
Well, my name is Armando Olmeda. I'm a 25-year-old registered nurse. I work in the ICU. I've been an RN for 3 years.
Oh.
I've also been a real estate agent for 3 years as well. And about a year ago is when I got my license to be a licensed agent as well. So now I incorporate a lot of the financial knowledge into my real estate when I speak to a client. But, regarding who I am, that's just my career. But I feel like we're not defined by our career. I feel there's a lot of things that define us. So one of the biggest things that define me is where I'm from.
And where's that?
Well, my family's from Durango, Mexico. Mm-hmm. So shout out Durango, And I hold that dear to my heart because we would go every single year. My dad made it a point to go out there a lot, like as a child, and we still do go out there a lot. And it really kind of brings like your roots back to where you're from. Yeah. Like it shows a lot where we came from. And I think that's the reason why I work as hard as I do and try to do as much as possible. Cause I know there's people out there back home who would love the opportunity, but don't have it.
Well, that's awesome. But do you have any siblings?
I do have a sibling. I have two. I actually have an older brother and a little sister.
Okay. So you're the middle child? Oh, trouble already.
It's true what they say. The middle child syndrome is real.
Yeah, I have one. I have a middle sister that is trouble. I'm just kidding, Brace. Wherever
Shout out, Breeze.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, cool. So, you gave us your age. You gave us what you do. One of the things that really, drew me to you was the fact that you mentioned you have 3 flourishing careers at such a young age. That's not common for a 25-year-old,
Yeah. I mean, thank you for the compliment. I think, I feel like, as entrepreneurs, we always feel like we're never enough. Yeah. I feel like we're always like trying to get that next level. So, but I appreciate the compliment.
How do you juggle all of that?
Yeah. Juggle all 3. You know what? I've learned a lot. I definitely do get stressed out as well. I was just talking about this yesterday. I think one of the biggest, one quick tip that I could give is read the book Atomic Habits.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You read it? Great book. I think that book is great because it talks to you about identifying as that role and then you just act out what that person would do.
Right.
For example, like if I want to be a successful real estate agent, okay, well, what would a successful real estate agent do?
Right.
And then just go ahead and just do that.
You just mimic and copy, right? We don't have to reinvent the wheel. Mm-hmm. And you have with the conference that we just went to last week.
Yeah. Massive.
God, some amazing mentors in there that you could easily mimic, right? Because there was JT up on the stage talking about the real estate stuff, and also very young but has had such a successful career. So
1,000%.
What does he do? So we can copy that, right?
Exactly.
At the end of the day, one of the things that I've been talking about is we have to take action. We can read all the books, mm-hmm. we can follow all of the mentors, we can listen to all this great stuff, but if we don't take action, then it's just wasted.
Right.
We can knowledge. They say knowledge is power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really is. But action is where it's at.
Yeah, it's just potential power.
Right. We really have to work on figuring out the way to take that first step. So how do you take the first step? Can you give me a little bit of what will make you take the first step? What makes you get up in the morning?
Yeah, good question. Good question. Well, I think a lot of us say we're courageous, but if you break down the definition of courage, courage is only courage when there's fear. If you're not scared of something, then you're not being courageous. And someone told me that recently, and I've been trying to repeat myself, like when I feel scared and fearful of the next move, that's when it's time to be courageous.
Right.
What wakes me up in the morning is really just, it's my fear of being average, my fear of being just being normal in a way.
Yeah.
I like to be different. And I heard this quote from Jay-Z. He says people he grew up with will look at him and be like, hey, man, you changed a lot. He's like, man, I don't work this hard just to stay the same.
Yeah.
It's like,
awesome.
I expect to change. And I was like, man, that's so true. Like we do all these things trying to better ourselves. We go to these conferences, right? Yeah. We want to be better. And it's like, it's a strive for excellence that really wakes me up in the morning. It's like that Kobe, it's what the mama mentality is.
Crazy that we're hearing this from a 25-year-old, right? Because I'm impressed by that. I'm here, in my 40s, and every day, I struggle, every day I feel that it's not, I don't want to say it's a struggle, but every day we have our challenges, right?
1,000%.
But I always, for a long time, felt alone in the fact that I wanted more. Mm-hmm. And I'd be like, why? Why do you want more? Why can't you be happy with what you have? If you look around me, I'm very blessed. I have a very good family, I have amazing kids, and why wasn't what I have around me enough, right?
How were you feeling? Were you more like unhappy? Or?
It wasn't even that I was unhappy. It's just that I didn't want to settle. And that's how I ended up figuring out, I'm big on, having a coach, a business coach or a life coach. And I would come to them and I'd be like, look what I've created. The business prominence has not been around for a long time. I think it's about 5 years old now. And we've built it. We had enough business to say we're cool, but I'm not done. And so it was like, why can't I just be done? Why can't I say, okay, I'm okay, And she's like, because you're not going to settle. There's more. Your message can go further. There's more things you can do, and you don't have to settle. There's smarter ways to work. You can work smarter and not harder, right? And so then that became my challenge. Is like, what do I really want to do? Who do I really want to serve, and who deserves me to serve them? So that for me was a big decision: is who's ready to hear my message, and I only want to surround myself with people that value that message.
How did your life change when you started now saying no to other people that weren't fitting your avatar?
We changed the interview here. Now I'm being interviewed. I'm just kidding. No, but this is what I want. It's true. Setting boundaries was really hard.
Yeah.
Realizing that you needed to set boundaries was even harder, right? Because
I think as an entrepreneur, we normally take everybody.
Yeah. You want to say yes.
Yeah. Normally, right? Yeah.
And with me, I'll be very blunt and very honest. That what really was a lot of the times, some of my coaches would tell me, because I've had several, because I have a belief that I kind of graduate my coach, right? I want to go on to the next one that's going to challenge me.
Yeah.
I love every coach I've had. Every coach has shown me amazing value. Mm-hmm. So not one of them did I say, oh, I wasted time or money. That's not the case. It's just I've challenged myself with a new one to bring a new perspective, right?
I love that.
But one of my coaches would always tell me that it was my culture that I wanted to help everybody, right?
Yeah.
My upbringing and things like that. And to a certain extent, yes, I agree. I do want to help everybody. I see, my parents not speaking the language and needed help. And I see like all the things that they taught me and being able to help others, right? But the recent coach I've had was like, look, you can help everybody. You can deliver the message to everyone that you want. But what are they doing with the message? And so at that point, I was like, she goes, they're not ready for your message. So stop wasting your breath. Stop wasting your time. So work with people that are ready to take action. Mm-hmm. And so that became huge for me, because at that point, I made a list of all my clients, and I've been like, chop, 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 chop.
Wow.
Because they've been my clients for years now, 2, 3, 4 years. And I'm like, nothing's changed. And I've been delivering the message, and I've been hitting them on the head with the same message. And if there's no change, then they're not the ideal client for me.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So finding people that they're going to take value in what you have to offer and do something with that.
Yeah. That's powerful. That's powerful.
But the boundaries came in then. That is when the boundaries came, because that's when I was like, okay, yes to some, no to others, and learning to saying, you don't have to go out and chase everybody. Yeah. The right people are going to come to you.
I mean, how many times does that principle apply in life as well, right?
Right.
It's like, you don't have to be chasing, it's like abundance, the law of attraction. Naturally, it's going to be coming to you.
Until you really learn that, though, isn't it been hard to accept that? Because we're so used to chasing, we're so used to hustling. But that's what I mean. We have to learn to work smarter, not necessarily harder.
And that's the next step, right, of business, is like, especially with AI, all these other things, all these tools that we could use to help us be more innovative.
That is very true. Right. A lot in my industry, because tax, they'll be like, we can just use TurboTax. I'm like, if TurboTax can do what I do, well, it'd be great, but it's not.
Yeah, 100%.
But it's not true, right? Because we still bring value. And yes, we can utilize the tools and make us better, but they're not at that point yet where they still apply certain amount of knowledge and certain amount of experience to the table.
Well, for example, and I think you brought this up to me when you spoke to me. You're like, hey, I saw you speaking with Anderson.
Yes.
And I met Anderson, the company, Clint Coons in particular.
Yes.
2 weeks ago at a conference. It was it's Passive MD. So it's basically, the conference is real estate investing for doctors.
Yes.
High ticket profile clientele, right? Yeah. Everyone's a doctor. So I was speaking with them on terms of tax strategies, and everyone's biggest problem in that conference was lowering down the W-2 income. Yeah. Because they're in the high tax bracket. Right. So there's like, what are the different strategies? And I was asking them the tough questions. Yeah. And I posted a video basically about the short-term rentals, how they could lower down your income if you're like a tax professional for 100 hours a year.
Material participation.
There you go. Yeah. There. I mean, yeah, please. And I kind of want to even talk about that.
So it's true, but that's what I'm talking about. Like, it's just like a lot of people talk about ChatGPT, right? But if you don't know what to ask it or what to prompt it, what to Google, they don't know what to give you back. And that's the problem. It's not the problem, but that's where we're at with technology in general. TurboTax will do what you input into it. But if you don't know what to input into it, then it's not going to spit out what you want. Do you see what I'm saying? It's still the same thing over and over. And that's exactly what happens with anything. And so at the end of the day, you still need a professional that's going to apply their knowledge, their experience, talk to you about your goals, what is it that you want, so that we can make the return look the way you want. That's not against the law. It really isn't. You're not doing anything other than utilizing the IRS code to your benefit, and that's not against the law. But none of us do that. And so that's how we've designed our business, is finding ways that we can help clients lower their tax liability, but it has to match your goals.
Yeah.
I get people in here and say that I don't want nothing to do with real estate. Well, great. Then we won't use that tool. Well, let's move on to the next one, That's big, yeah. But that has to do with you and your goals. Right. Now, you are an RN. And one of the things I had mentioned to you, I have a sister who's an RN.
Hey, shout out to the nurse, nurse family.
And so I love that because, you have experience being a 9-to-5, what we call a 9-to-5 individual, right? Yeah, and then you have your little side hustles as entrepreneurs. Right. Tell me, what's the difference, and how do you think you'll ever leave one for the other or anything like that?
That's a good question. You know what? I battle that all the time.
What is what keeps you? I mean, obviously you're still young, and you said it's 3 years and all that, but being a 9-to-5 is a passion as an RN, right? Because that's tough, because it's not 9-to-5. You guys work 12-hour shifts?
Yeah, 12-hour shifts and night shift too. Yeah. So I clock in at 7, clock out at 7 a.m.
Wow.
But right now I love nursing. I love helping people. I love serving. But going back to that, like, I think it's called a W-2 trap. I call it. I think I heard someone say it, but the W-2 trap.
I call it the hamster wheel.
That's what you call it? Yeah. They basically baby you. Just imagine a baby, and they're just coddling you. They're giving you, leche, and it's very comfortable because you think. And I think about it this way. I say, when I go to work on my W-2 job, I don't have to think. It's already done for me. Like there's already a system in place that I'm just a person in the system.
You just show up.
I just show up and I do my job. Versus being your own tax professional, right? Your own business owner, or real estate or whatever you are, you're in charge of now of creating the system. You got to do the marketing, you got to do the sales, you got to talk to the clients, you got to do everything. So I like it right now because it's a break. When I actually go to work and clock in with my nursing badge, I actually like it a lot because it's a break from
your entrepreneur mind.
And then when I get done with nursing, I'm like, all right, let me go back to work, and I feel more refreshed.
Yeah.
But the W-2 trap is very real, though. It definitely makes you comfortable where you don't want to explore your options. Yeah. But I think that's also like a slow death. It's like, I don't like that.
You know, you're very lucky to have discovered that at such a young age. I get clients who are close to retirement and finally realized it.
Oh, wow.
But gosh, their life is not life, but our time, because we want to look at retirement and we'll be like, okay, this is how, I imagine my retirement, and they're nowhere near that dream that they had or that vision that they thought they would have,
Yeah.
Because we get stuck in that trap. Yeah. We're in this rat race of you get paid, you pay your bills, and then you go back to work and you do the same thing. And you've been in the industry 3 years. I mean, imagine you've been in the industry 10, 20, 30 years. You're burnt out and you never made time for other things that could potentially make you that money that you need to retire or to have that retirement that you envisioned, right?
Yeah, I think the skill set too, because many times, right now I love nursing, so I don't have to be doing this, but I did think about 10, 15 years from now.
Yeah.
I saw nurses, not happy.
Right.
Burnt out, tired. And I was looking ahead, I was like, well, if that's the result, that's going to be Armando in 10 years, 15 years, I'm just not going to let it happen. I'd rather start now while I have all this energy. Correct. Build up these skills, and then in 10 years I could exit. Yeah. And then
I agree. I think you're doing the right thing. I admire what you're doing at such a young age. I think it's a blessing that you discovered this so early on instead of when you are burnt out.
Yeah.
A lot of the things that I talk to my clients, it's never too late. Okay. It's never too late. But when I give the message to my clients and I teach them how to diversify their income and how to create different streams of income,
I love that.
They'll say like, man, I wish I would have known this way back when.
Yeah,
right?
That's what we preach as well.
And so it's like, there's so many things that we could do, but there's so little financial literacy out there. And so when you're out there promoting and trying to get the message out, people find you and they're like, I've been looking for you for years, but I didn't know what you were called, and it's because we know that there has to be something out there. But a lot of the times we believe that only the wealthy have access to these type of strategies. Only the wealthy figure out how to diversify, how to create different streams of income. And I'm here to tell you that's not the case.
Yeah.
We can do it with the average individual. And I've done it before, and I can show you clients that have done it before with making $70,000 a year, which is an average income, but it takes discipline. It takes you have to want this, right? I can't do it for you. This is why I said I had to make a list of the clients that really wanted my message and those that didn't, right? Because I could show you how to do it. Now it's up to you to take the action to do it.
That's great. That's wow. So I have to ask, what is there like an example that you could say of let's say a client, let's say a nurse, right, that's listening. A nurse that's listening that wants to diversify their income streams, and I talk about that too. What's the suggestion
what you guys have, and it's not just nurses.
Yeah. What
W-2 employees have is what self-employed individuals sometimes want, the high W-2. You're forced to report that high W-2. So you're stuck with the high tax liability.
Right.
There's no way around it, right? It's hard to get it out of that. You are meant to pay all the taxes for everyone out there that's self-employed or that finds ways to reduce the liability, right? So I tell clients, thank you, because you're the ones paying all the taxes out there, right? I love this country, but it's built off of the W-2 individual. And so there's ways that we could create tax-free income. Not necessarily will I reduce your W-2, but I can create a really cool funnel of tax-free income on the side. So that you have one day the choice of saying, you know what, today I don't want to go to work. And you're okay because you have passive income that you've generated with all of the tax money that you've had to pay or showing those strong financials, because lenders love you.
Right.
Because it only takes one phone call for them to prove your income.
Yep.
They just call your employer and they love you because that's it. And when you're self-employed, what do they ask for? 101 documents. You've got to report your income. Most of the time, self-employed individuals, right off the kitchen sink. Mm-hmm. And so the lender's like, I can't get you qualified because you wrote off everything, Yeah. So when you create a cool balance between the two, which is kind of what you have, you've got your self-employed real estate stuff going on, your agent stuff going on, but then you still have your W-2. So it's easy for you to create something like that because you're already doing it.
Well, and thankfully too, given the background of the the financial architects, learning about different retirement strategies.
Yes.
Like, for example, you mentioned one of them, a tax-free retirement.
Yeah.
Like, that's a massive way where me being a W-2, naturally we get put into a 401k,
right.
a 403 if you're a teacher, different retirement plans that you really don't have much options to do.
Yeah.
But one thing that you do have control over is creating an outside tax-free retirement account outside of work. And that's like through...
How many people know that?
That's the problem.
That's the problem
there. The education.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was just talking to somebody the other day about, one of the things I've been asked is, my story. When they ask me, like, how'd you get started on taxes? Because taxes are so boring or whatever. And I'm like, to me, they're not boring.
They're fun,
like, I love them, Mm-hmm. But one thing that I've noticed is I sit behind a desk and I get to see, clients come in and out, day in and day out, from all sorts of different lives, right? Everybody has a different, you think that because somebody's making $500,000 that their life is better than yours, and that is so not true. It's about what you do with your money and not how much you make, okay?
Oh, wow.
Because that couple that just left earning $500,000 is getting their house repoed, cars repoed, the 2008 crash is taking them down because they don't have money. They have debt. They have bad debt. They've made bad choices, and they live paycheck to paycheck just like anyone else.
Right.
And then you get a client who comes in making $75,000 custodian at a public school, seeing buying opportunity everywhere. But what was he doing? He used his resources. He had, he was able to refi, pull equity out. He was able to buy multiple rental properties and set himself up for early retirement.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because he had he was using his money smart and not wasting it. So it doesn't really matter how much you make. It's really what you do with your money.
The strategy behind it.
So when people ask me, like, why do you find this so intriguing? As I said, because I've realized that it doesn't matter the color of your skin. It doesn't matter what language you speak. I used to think that because my parents didn't speak English, that's why they didn't know how all of this stuff works. But I will talk to anybody that comes from anywhere. You can go to a private school. You can be white. You could be whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Financial literacy was never taught to you.
That's facts.
And people think, oh, I went to a private school. It doesn't matter. They don't teach you this stuff anyways.
No.
Nobody does. And so you're just as illiterate in finances as anyone else. So nobody has a head start on this unless you surround yourself with others. Maybe your parents know, but are we teaching this to our kids?
Right.
So the struggle is there when it comes to numbers. We all fear our finances.
At least especially being first generation.
Yeah.
Especially, right? Because, our parents did what they did to get us here, to give us the opportunity, and now it's up to us. So
to make it better.
To make it better. And yeah, to your point, the financial literacy is a massive. Everyone's starving for it.
Yeah,
everyone's starving for it. So people listening to this podcast right now, they're getting their knowledge.
Yeah,
this is just taking a step forward.
I just want people to understand that we're not the only ones, right? That we're all looking for that, whether we make a lot of money or not. You know, it's like we need to surround ourselves with individuals that make us better. And that can provide that can provide us help, because it's not about recreating the wheel. It's about, like you said, finding somebody that we want to be like, and then copying exactly what they're doing.
What are 3 steps that someone could take that, let's say, someone making $70,000 a year?
Yeah.
Some base 3 things that they could do to set themselves up better for retirement or to, better financial health.
I always start off with asking them seriously, what are their goals, right? Because your retirement is going to look totally different than what I envision as my retirement. I've met some people that are the Dave Ramsey followers, right? I love Dave Ramsey. I do. He has a great message. But you have to graduate his program at some point.
Right.
Because you want to live off of, you want to have a lifestyle at retirement that keeps up with inflation. And being debt free and all that, that's great. But what ends up happening is your cash can only be stretched for so much. After a while, that lifestyle where you retired and you thought, okay, well, I'm set. You're set today.
Right.
But look at inflation right now. Look how expensive things are, and now you're like, the same amount of money that I retired with is not keeping up with inflation. So you have to have, even at retirement age, other sources of passive income coming through that will keep up with inflation.
Right. That keeps growing in the market.
That keeps growing either in the market or real estate or, other investments that are out there. Because what happens is, if you don't have other sources, then your regular Social Security check is not going to keep up with inflation. By the way,
2034 already announced Social Security is going to turn into social insecurity in 10 years if something doesn't change.
And it's just a lot of things. So when you ask, like, what are some 3 steps that we could take, is really sitting down. One of them has to be sitting down with a financial professional that can literally explain to you different tools. There's so many out there. And I always say you have to have a team. One individual is great, but imagine if you had 2 or 3, individuals that can help you create this massive plan that can make whatever your retirement envisions come true.
That's massive. Well, to piggyback off what you said, one of the first questions I ask when a client sits down with me and we talk about retirement planning is, at what age do you want the opportunity not to work anymore?
Yes.
Question number 2 would be, how much money do you expect to live off of a month at that age to feel completely comfortable? And then we strategize on, all right, what are the ways that we could get you, let's say, $10,000 a month of income? And then, do you want it taxable or do you want it tax-free?
Because who knows where taxes are going in those years, right?
Exactly. Which I think they're going a lot higher. Depending, obviously we got the U.S. debt just hit $33 trillion. We have Social Security going on. I think 80% of all U.S. dollars were printed in the past 3-4 years because of COVID.
Because of everything that's going on. So, and I mean, that's one phase of what we're going through, right? We don't know what else we may go through between now and your retirement age. I mean, you're 25, you're so young, right? But what I preach at the end of the day is, we want to have options.
Options.
Options is the solution, right? If you're going to retire, if you want to retire early, you want to have the option of saying, no, I still want to go to work, but I'm okay. Like, I choose to go to work.
I don't have to go to work.
I don't have to go to work. When you say that, I think that's financial freedom right there.
So that kind of ties into my mission of why I started this company called Health Wealth Pros, Health Wealth Professionals. It's basically, right now I'm starting it as a Facebook community. It's a Facebook community for healthcare workers to be able to do exactly that. It's called Go PRN. PRN is as needed. That's our term. But basically, it's like where you don't have to go to work, but you want to go to work. You're actually more happy, and as a result, the patient actually just actually benefits the most.
Right.
Because who doesn't benefit from a happy nurse?
Yes.
But the way to do that is to diversify your income streams. And I know real estate, so I talk about real estate a lot as one of the tools to diversify your income.
So I love real estate. I just did a post this morning telling people I don't sell houses because they thought I was a real estate agent.
You talk about real estate all the time.
Because I talk about real estate all the time.
Okay.
It's not just that I talk about real estate. What happens is it's an easy tool that people relate to. So I can replace the real estate strategy with a lot of other things. But what happens is I flock to real estate because that's where people understand the tool the most, right? But it can really be done with other things as well. It's just real estate's the easy go-to.
Well, let's dive into real estate very briefly. Like, what's something that you tell your clients in terms of using real estate to diversify your income?
So he wants a free consultation here. I'm just kidding.
See what I did?
No. So it's all like things that I've discovered as I've gone along. And like I said, I'm good at observing what some of the clients do and then sharing it with others. Because to me, that's what holds us back, is really not knowing, right? One of the things is not knowing. And then my thing is, I can show you what so-and-so's doing, what this other person is doing, and you can do the same exact thing. Has nothing to do with their background, their upbringing, or the amount of money they make, right? If you want to do it, you can do it. And so I created this program called Real Estate Inclined. And so what I teach in that program is we can all get into the real estate market out of state, okay? And we don't have to be purchasing California properties where California is expensive. I want you to, but in the meantime, if we can't afford to, there's ways that we can purchase property out of state. And so I've created teams in other states that will assist us in purchasing these properties. They manage them and everything. But our investment is $20,000. That'll get you a property somewhere else. Yeah. But guess what? You learn real estate. You learn to get over the fears that you have in investing in a California property.
Right.
You learn about property management. You learn about the ins and outs of having a tenant. So a lot of the times people are scared of getting into a rental property because they heard the horror stories. Yeah. And I'm like, horror stories are gossip. Why would I tell you, my tenant paid every first on time? My tenant paid early this month.
Oh, I had a great depreciation write-off. Oh,
So
I had a
that's
great repair.
boring, right? I go, but if I tell you, man, I went through
boring.
eviction and I was trying to get this tenant out. He hasn't paid for 6 months. I'm like, shit, that's good gossip. Like, that's why those stories are heard over the ones that aren't. How many people haven't made millions in this country, become themselves somebody on the map because of real estate?
Yeah.
Right? But they're not complaining about people not paying their rent. You know what I'm saying? And so it's a business. You have to treat it as such.
Right.
And so in this webinar, that's what I do. We talk about passive income. We talk about different strategies. But then I say, hey, if you're interested, here's my crew. Here's my people. They're ready to sell you a property and have a property manager and have the property in line. And your investment is as little as $20,000. And then I'll show you my example where I've purchased my first property in Ohio.
Nice. I have a couple other people in Ohio.
$17,000 down payment.
Yeah.
And the property, I've had it for 2.5 years and it appreciated $40,000. You know, in the hype of the market, it was, a little bit more. But it's, again, I tell people is what it has taught me though it's not just that, it's how real estate really works.
Right. You're in the game.
And how we can make that tax free. That's the hidden key right there, right? Making that income. We want money, but we don't want to be taxed on more money. Like, that's not the goal. But then you can make all that passive income tax free. So that's where the key is. That's where the benefit of working with us is, okay, good that you're making money, but now let's make it tax free.
Now let's make it tax free.
And so that's what we do. But again, it doesn't take a lot to qualify for a property like that. We can 1031 exchange those now into a property in California, into a multi-unit. So the vision.
That's true. You start small. Yeah. I tell people that too, is like, people often want the big home or everything. But I said many times, you just want to get in the game. Start small, and then, there's a rule, it's called 2 for 5 rule, where if it's a primary residence for 2 years, you sell it, you pay no capital gains up until 250 or 500, it depends if you're married. Yeah. People use that all the time.
Right.
In 2 years, they sell, and then they buy their dream home or whatever it may be.
And do you know that I get people in here that don't even know that rule exists, and sometimes pay taxes because their tax preparer didn't even know that rule existed?
Wow,
so it's like, that's how much stuff is not being out there. I love social media now. TikTok helps a lot, even though some of the message in there may not be 100% correct. But what it does is it brings some sort of awareness for people to ask those questions. And that's what we want.
Awareness. Yeah.
Awareness, for sure.
Wow. I'm a big fan. I didn't know you do all that. Because at the conference I was at, that's what they talk about a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of people, a lot of nurses and doctors are investing out of state.
Right.
Because it's cheaper.
It's a good
California
group. I love that group.
Really?
So, yeah. It's a good group. But anyways, that's another conversation.
That's another topic, yeah.
So before we wrap up, though, give our audience, something, maybe a book that you're reading, mentors that you're following, or, what helps you tick.
Yeah. Books I'm reading right now. Marketing, Alex Hormozi. Have you heard of Alex Hormozi?
I've heard Alex Hormozi.
Really smart guy. He just came out with the book, 100 Million Leads. It's all marketing. So it talks about, how to, if you're growing a business, warm reach, cold reach, how to reach out to people, get your first clients. I like that one because marketing, I think, is the world. Yeah. So I need more help marketing, I feel like. So I'm reading that book. That's more my business book, my development book. What am I reading? I've read I'm rereading Atomic Habits. My
Yeah.
favorite book is The Alchemist.
Okay. Yeah.
By far, that's my favorite. Mentors, I gotta say, Manny's one of my mentors. My boy Pablo, one of my mentors as well. I recently came under Francisco Jara, who also spoke.
Oh yes, I love him.
I like him because I want to tap into my higher self,
Spiritual awakening.
my spirit. Yeah, I feel like if I could demand more of myself, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
So he's one of my new mentors as well, like coaching.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at right now, and I'm pretty excited. Just want to keep surrounding myself with people like yourself, and
That's where he's at right now at 25 years old. Come on, guys.
well, I appreciate you having me on though. It was great to get to know you and what you're doing too.
Thank you for being here. I really admire you. At 25 years old to be where you're at. It's definitely something to look up to in a sense. Admire about you, because not a lot of 25-year-olds find themselves in this situation. And so, kudos to you for everything you've done. I know it's hard work, but it'll pay off. And I think that you're on the right path and the right track. So keep it up. But thank you for being here.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Me.
Tell us a little bit about where we can find you.
Yeah, so my Instagram name is Armando Olmeda, just my name. My YouTube, I do have a podcast as well, which we will actually.
Go ahead, pitch it.
I'd personally love to actually have you on there.
Thank you.
My personal page is an invitation.
Thank
to
you.
have you as a guest. It's called Educate and Elevate.
Educate and
And
Elevate.
it's with my boy Pablo as well. It's both of us. So, but that's our podcast that we have. And then you can find me obviously on Armando Olmeda. And then I do everything from real estate to financial planning. And then the nursing, my nursing community, I'm building that up with Health Wealth Pros. So you could always search up that website, Health Wealth Professionals. And then you can see kind of the stuff that we're heading in the direction.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Make sure to follow him. He is an amazing person to follow. He always gives some good, tips and stuff on there. So give him a follow. But thank you all for being here today. I appreciate you all, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Remember to follow us on Prominence.services and our website, prominencebusiness.com. Thank you. Until next one. So if your mindset is ready to excel to the next level and you want to give up the multiple hats to a business who will support you, then schedule a call with us today. We can be reached at 626-825-8249. Please give us a review and share us with your friends and family.